Okay, so we're going to look at lesson 4.6, example 4 from our pre-calculus book. And that talks about completely factoring a polynomial over the real numbers, which means then that we want real numbers for our answer. And so here it says factorization over the real numbers, that every non-constant polynomial with real coefficients can be factored as the product of linear and irreducible quadratic polynomials with real coefficients in such a way that the quadratic factors, if any, have no real zeros. In other words, that graph of that quadratic will not cross the x-axis. So let's go ahead and look at this problem. It says they have x to the fourth minus 2x cubed minus x squared plus 6 minus 6. And we are going to factor over the set of real numbers given that 1 plus I is a 0. And remember that we were just talking about that if 1 plus I is a 0, then that means that 1 minus I will also be a 0 for this polynomial. So if we want to factor it, that means we're going to put it in parentheses. And so f of x equals, and right now we know that if it's a fourth degree, then when I'm done, I should have 4 factors. Like these 4 here. And they tell us 2 of them are 1 plus I, and then the other one is 1 minus I. So I know those 2, and I'm going to need to find the other 2. And so we're going to have to use some form of division in this problem to do that. So first of all, let's put in our x, or our 1 plus I, and our 1 minus I as factors. And then we're going to have our other 2 here, C and D, and we're just going to hold off on them right now and just focus on these 2. So let's go ahead and simplify this and then do the multiplication so that we can work with it. And so we are going to rewrite this first of all then as x minus 1 minus I and x minus 1 plus I. And then we'll do the multiplication here to get rid of the i's. So we get x squared minus x plus ix when I distribute the x. Negative x plus 1 minus I when we distribute the negative 1. And negative ix plus I and minus I squared when we distribute the I. So simplifying, we get x squared. We have negative x here and a negative x here, which gives us minus 2x. And we have a positive ix here and a negative ix here. Well, those 2, that is going to equal 0 then. All right, so we'll cross those out. And then we have a negative I and a positive I, which we'll cross them out. And then we have left over, we have a 1 and negative I squared. Well, remember that negative I squared is 1, so we have plus 2. So we've got x squared minus 2x plus 2 is one of our factors, okay, quadratic factor with real coefficients. And to find the other one, then, we're going to have to do some long division. So because this is a quadratic function and not linear, we have to do long division to be able to find our other 2 factors. So we're going to take x squared minus 2x plus 2, and we're going to divide that into our original polynomial here, and I'm going to see if I can do this here. So let's just take a little picture of that. Okay, there we go. There's a little picture of it. And then I'm going to bring that down here and stick it in underneath this division sign. There we go. That's a little bit easier. Give me some more room. All right. So now we're going to do the long division. So we're going to ask ourselves, all right, how many times does x squared go into x to the fourth? And that would be x squared times. So we put our x squared there, and we multiply. So we get x to the fourth minus 2x cubed and plus 2x squared. And then we're going to subtract, and reminder, when we subtract, that means we're going to change the sign. So negative, positive, and negative. So we have x to the fourth minus x to the fourth is 0. 2x cubed minus 2x cubed is 0. And then we get negative 3x squared here. And we'll bring down the 6x and the minus 6 since we have 3 terms. So now we're going to look at, so what is negative 3x squared divided by x squared? And that would be negative 3. So we got minus 3 here. So we multiply. Negative 3 times negative 3x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times negative 2x is positive 6x. And negative 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. And when we subtract then, change the signs, we should notice that this completely comes to 0, and that should not surprise us because x squared minus 2x plus 2 was a factor, so we shouldn't have a remainder. So then our answer for this problem then is going to be, when we factor it, it's going to be x squared minus 2x plus 2 times our answer we just got, x squared minus 3. But we can still take the x squared minus 3 and we can write that as real factors because we can do the square root of 3, which is just the square root of 3. So really our final answer then would be x squared minus 2x plus 2. Because this can't be factored, doesn't have any zeros, no real zeros. But this one has real zeros at square root of 3. So I have x plus the square root of 3 and x minus the square root of 3. And that would give us a complete factorization of that using real numbers and real coefficients.